Good afternoon, ma'am.
Rakesh sir, good afternoon.
Very good afternoon, ma'am.
So, do you have the host access? Can you share the screen? Can you check?
Let me check. No, I don't have the host access.
You don't. Let me just see why am I not getting.
Okay,
Please
I
check
got the
now.
host access. Yeah, just give me a moment. Got it.
Great. Thank you, sir. I'm leaving. If there is anything, you can just ping me.
I'll do that.
Thank you. Bye.
We'll hold on for a couple of more minutes before we start. I hope all of you are done with your lunch.
Yes, sir.
Good. Welcome back. So how's your Diwali, sorry, Holi celebration going?
Good, sir. I don't know about the rest.
Okay, you have not yet gone out, or you're still to go out?
So probably, sir, we have some something happening in the society itself.
Okay,
So my family relatives stay nearby, so we will be celebrating in the house together.
okay, that's good. I'll just wait for a couple of more minutes before we start. This will
Right.
be comparatively a shorter session because we got a very short portion to be covered. So the first three modules will be completed by me. The balance two modules would be done by the other trainer, Mr. Pavan. So he would be coming and doing the rest of it.
So is it your last class today then?
It will be my last class today.
Okay.
Just wait for a couple of more minutes before we start. Another 2 more
Right,
minutes.
sir.
Start.
Okay, sir.
A lot of people will be between lunch, so I understand that. Hi Purva, welcome back. Hi Abhishek, Sandeep, Bharat. Hi Smita,
Good afternoon, sir.
very good afternoon. Had with your lunch?
Yet to sir.
Yet.
Good afternoon, sir. Yes, we had our lunch.
Good. I'm going to keep it very short and simple because I don't neither want to ruin your Holi. At the same time, I don't want to ruin my budget either. So we'll keep it very simple. In 1 more minute, we'll start with whoever is there. I would just request all of you to keep your videos on because a couple of questions, just normally to understand a couple of things. And then I'm not going to take anything more than 45 minutes to 50 minutes to finish off this session. You can comfortably return back to your celebration, right? So I humbly request all the participants to be on if the video can be switched on. Even if you're having a munch, it's okay, it's holy. You want to sprinkle some color to the screen, that's also fine, most welcome. Hi, Mr. Vijay. Which part of India are you? Chennai.
Chennai,
Where?
sir. Chennai.
What pin code are you in? Saurpet.
Saidapet.
Saidapet. Okay. Great. Thank you so much, Sandeep. I know it's a harassed afternoon. My sincere apologies. I'm Mohan. Shuli, Anushya, Abhishek, Anirban. Anybody from a finance background here?
No, not from finance.
Not from finance. Okay. Wonderful. Great. Once I took a session and I could hear a synchronized curve beat from one of the participants. He was very comfortably cruising at about 150 decibels and using a proper sine curve. He was snoring. So we enjoyed the snore as well. We call it symmetric snoring, in fact. His both the dip as well as the rise was symmetric in nature. If I can have all the participants kindly switch on the screens, we'll just keep it very short and simple. Now, the first question. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again. The first question that I have for all of you is, how many of you know the different cost elements when it's for training? Cost elements for training. What are the different cost elements that is involved when you do a training program? Anybody here? Anybody is aware of different costing elements that is put to use when you do a training? Anybody? Why I wanted to keep your videos on us, for you to make eye contact and possibly discuss things out. Anybody here who knows? Kathy, welcome back.
Good afternoon.
Very good afternoon. I have an important question, especially after lunch, that gets to let me know how many of you are really active and how many of you are not. Tell me how many different types of cost that is involved in training. Anybody here?
A direct cost and indirect cost.
Okay, that's wonderful. Direct and indirect cost. He said, let me get rid of the first two. What are the other costing elements?
Administrative cost, operational cost.
Wonderful. Everything is, so people are looking at the book. That's good. Great. What else?
Opportunity cost.
Opportunity costs. What else? They say that in between you should see where your textbook is or your notebook is, says that you get to know what the syllabus is all about. Yeah. What are the cost? Viraj, any other cost? Mohan, Jugal. I want you to keep it very simple. Let's do things very simply. Let's not complicate things, because unnecessarily we get burdened by the different forms of cost. Can somebody here give me a simple example of what a fixed cost is? Let's keep it in context with the training. Fixed cost.
Fixed cost is the person who is going to train. Second is the auditorium or the things that are going to required, like the material used for training, audio visuals.
Okay.
So
What
these
else
are
is a
always
fixed
going to
cost?
be fixed.
Okay.
LMS.
Fixed costs are something that don't change, like the rent, the salaries, the AC cost, which is fixed, which can be accounted, and any batch, that's the ongoing cost that we have.
Okay. Let me put it in very simple terms. Let's say our friend Katie here runs an institution which has got fixed premises, right? And we have Mr. Vijay Raghavan, in short, as we call him, MVR, is the trainer who's going to conduct the program there, right? Now, Katie holds various size of rooms. The size of rooms are, let's say, one is a 30-seater, the second is a 50-seater, the third is a 100-seater, right? Now, when I hire Vijay Raghavan to come and deliver this program, Vijay Raghavan is my internal faculty. I hire this premises that Katie has to basically deliver this program. The rent that is paid to Katie, including the electricity expenses, the projector expenses, the projector screen expenses, the audio visual equipments that I have, the other things that I have in terms of whiteboard, marker, whiteboard, the number of chairs, tables that she provides as seating capacity is all at a fixed cost, right? Irrespective of the fact whether I have 25 people or 30 people, the capacity of the room is, let's say, 50, I incur a fixed cost. Done? So when, let's say, for instance, Vijay Raghavan is going to deliver this program, and let's say Purva is the one who's the training head. She, in her budget, would say that per participant, X should be the cost. X is the cost. Let's say, for instance, per participant, if Purva decides that the cost of the training, including the faculty, the material, everything put together, is 1,500 rupees. Okay, I've not taken into account the cost of their salary, the other things I've not taken into account. I've only taken into account what will be the cost, which is a fixed cost, direct cost, which is there. Now, when I take the direct cost, if let's say I have 30 participants for this program, okay, so in your notebook, please pen down 30 participants, 30. And each participant's salary, since we are going to have homogeneous crowd of people attending this program, each participant's salary is 45,000 rupees per month. 45,000. Timothy, it's 45,000 rupees per month, right? The cost of the hall for hire is 15,000 for 50 participants. The cost of hiring a faculty for that one-day program is 15,000. The cost of offering training material to a single participant, that per handout is, let's say, 150 rupees, 150. Okay.
Can you repeat the training material cost?
Training material cost is 150 per participant. I'm only giving you black and white training material. Okay. Spiral bound, 150 per participant. Now, because we are doing a program which is on a hybrid mode, okay, I have requested Katie to install in a Logitech screen, which also has a camera which can, show me the faculty as well as the class and the participants on the other side. And I'm also going to get internet expenses because I'm going to do this on a hybrid mode. So I need to have Wi-Fi connectivity as well to dial out as well as dial in. Now, Katie has been a long-term associate of ours in terms of getting the premises ready for all our external programs. Okay. Whenever we demand in any kind of investment, she does the capital investment for us. Right? Now, she specifically does this for us because we are long-term associates of Katie and we are doing at an external venue. Now, I want each one of you to think yourself as training managers budgeting for this particular program. And while you budget for this particular program, you have to consider fixed costs, variable cost, operational costs, administrative costs, transportation costs, all those aspects of cost. And your total cost per participant should not exceed 2,250 rupees. 2,000 how much rupees? 2,250 rupees. And I want you to come up as to how much should I pay Katie per participant. Material cost, I know that it's 150 rupees. How much should I pay to MBR, who's an external faculty? And what kind of participants can I pull in? Should it be local or can I bring them from all over India? To manage the cost is 2,250. It's a one-day program, 8 hours. Now, I want you to also tell me what are the various kinds of cost in this. What are the various kinds of cost in this? Right? I want you to compute what are the different kinds of costs. And I want each one of you to write down what are the different costs that are there. Fixed cost, if it is there, there's fixed cost. If there is variable cost, you put variable cost. If you've got something which is there in terms of staffing cost, you put in terms of staffing cost. If you have a fixed cost, you put that. Semi-variable cost, you put that. All those things you put and tell me what should your program budget be. And whether this program will be feasible to run. The per participant salary is 45 rupees, 45,000. You are having a one-day engagement. Right? I want you to think, calculate, and tell me what are the various cost components and what will be the per participant cost for this program, and will we be in budget or not?
What is the number of participant?
30, 30 Bharat.
Okay.
हॉल का साइज 50 है लेकिन यहाँ पे 30 है
Yeah, you given a bifurcation based on 50. Yeah.
Yeah. Bharat, it's totally up to you to whether to decide how many participants you want to increase because you're the training manager, training head.
Okay, okay.
लेकिन पर पार्टिसिपेंट 2250 से ज्यादा नहीं जाना चाहिए.
I may required one information. As you said, the per employee cost is 45,000.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering where it need to be used.
You decide how it can be. We thought about various costs when it's considered, and we got to arrive at a program budget cost to finally.
Okay. Yeah.
हाँ, तो उसलिए मैं पूछ रहा हूँ आपसे. और ये cost कैसे compute? How will you compute this cost?
Okay.
Pooja, for those of you who are wondering what is happening, we are trying to find out if the program should be conducted at a place that Kathy owns, where we have a tie-up, or should it be conducted in-house? Should we employ in an external trainer, or should we do it internally?
If I look into the per day cost of that employee and even the basic cost which you talked about, it is nowhere, it is actually exceeding every time.
It's exceeding every time, right, Bharat?
So it sounds to be costly affair when we look into the Kathy facilities to use.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, Bharat,
And
yeah, please go ahead.
yeah, so if I was making the calculations and I think because you said that the training venue can hold up to 50 participants.
Okay.
So in that case, because what Bharat is correct, that if I'm going for 30 participants, if I get the value, it's approximately coming to 3,000 rupees.
Correct.
If I add the internet and other things also as well, and if I'm doing it at Kathy's place, I have to give her some money and everything. But if I am doing the same thing with 50 participants, then probably I will be able to come closer to the training cost which you have given us, which is 2250 per person.
Okay.
But in that also, if I do it outside, if I do it at in a external venue, then the budget, the cost can increase per person. So in that case, if I have to employ an internal trainer, or if I can do it within my office premises, that it would be better for the company. That's what I think.
Okay. Can you give me a breakdown of the different cost elements that you have used here?
So I have taken the salary. The salary part, so you said it's 45,000 per person. So
Okay.
I have done that. So approximately, if I take it for a month, sorry, I'm taking a month of 30 days. So it's coming to 1,500 rupees per day.
It's coming to
So
1,500 rupees per day.
yes, if I just take 45, I just divided 45,000 by 30 days. So by
Okay.
1,500 rupees. So if I'm increasing the participants by another 20, so
Okay.
the training, the whole this will increase, the whole amount will increase from 45,000 to 75,000. The
Okay.
training venue costs remain the same because the capacity, as you said, can have 50 participants.
Okay.
The trainer cost could increase or decrease, but still it's not been informed. That's again variable. So probably we'll have to take that into contention, as in like the, you know, the variable costs, that will the trainer charge me more if I'm taking more participants? The
Okay.
training notes and everything uses 150 per participant. So when you increase it to 50, it goes to 7,500 from
Okay.
4,500 if I take 30. And there are other costs as well, as like internet and everything. So still
Okay.
it's not achieving the budget of 2250, but it's
Okay.
still coming close to that.
So how much are we up by?
Approximately 250 to 300. If I add more stuff like trainer costs and internet costs and everything of that sort.
Okay. So how do you think you will proceed in this case?
In this case,
Yeah.
so that depends. Like again, it's more like I have to see if I can if this training can probably be just given to a lesser number of people and they can go ahead and actually give it to, you know, give them to their colleagues or something, not do it together at the same time. That is one thought which is coming to my mind right now. So more like
Okay.
a cascading kind of a training,
Okay.
or probably an internal trainer. Then that will, if I have an internal trainer with the same capabilities and skills, then
Okay.
a cost of 15,000 can decrease, which I can, because I have still not added like that, I can use that for other things like, you know, R&R during the training. Like if someone is doing good or performing good, then I can use that budget over there, because that is a budget which it has not been taken care of.
Okay.
So those things can be mix and match, but again we have to go back to the table and think about it before we actually plan it accordingly.
Okay. And the question is, where do you think you'll have trouble?
Sorry, you have a problem?
Yeah.
I think I don't, very frankly speaking, I don't know what kind of training that we are doing, but I do not like a lot of participants to come together. Like 50 participants is huge, if you say. Even 30 is not that good, because if we see the facilitation skills and other things, 30 participants is still a huge number. So probably we can cut down on the training venue. We can do it inside the company or in smaller batches.
Okay. Now tell
I
me,
think that yes,
wonderful. What are the charges that are fixed charges here? Or fixed cost?
fixed costs.
Hmm.
The hall charges.
Okay. If the number of
Uh,
participants increases, will the hall charges per person come down?
Yes.
Okay. What are the other charges that is there? What is the second charge?
Internet charges will also come down. It's a fixed cost. The
Internet
screen,
charges.
Logitech.
Is internet charge
These are
a
fixed
fixed
costs.
cost, or what are the costs is this? Your telephone charges, because Katie
It's
is going to,
variable,
it's variable, okay? Because she's going
fixed.
to
Yeah.
fixed or variable, Katie? You're
No,
going to
it's
do the
it's variable, but hall charges are fixed.
hall
Trainer
charges.
charges are fixed. Participants are fixed.
Okay.
These are my fixed, which will not change. But internet charges varies based on the usage, so that's variable.
Okay.
Participant handout,
Huh.
it depends on the size. So if I have a class of 30, it will be less. If I have a class of 50, it will increase.
Okay. Should you in-house or outsource the participant handout to reduce the cost or increase the cost, or you produce in bulk already?
Black and white, I would produce in-house, just Xerox it and give. I think so my cost will reduce. If I outsource it to someone, then I think I will have to pay 150 per participant. But if I do it, like if I have a printer and I have facilities in my office, I might as well do it, because it will come in just one booklet cost, which is say
Yes. So
100 papers.
adding to what Kathy has said, if I think it's a bulk, if you're doing it for 50, in fact, it should decrease, because there are many bulk Xeroxes or bulk printouts where it decreases. Or else, if until it's an exercise or something that they have to do it, an activity that they have to do it right there within the training. If it's just a normally takeaway, then probably I can even decrease the handout cost by putting it virtually. Like, you know, like a takeaway, like a PDF or something, and not
Okay. You mean
actually give
digital
physical
handout?
copies of it.
Digital
Yes.
handout. Okay.
Right, right.
Guys, let me also explain the program. We are doing a leadership intervention.
Okay.
Okay. This is a sales leadership intervention where each of these people are, let's say, branch managers or the so-called channel managers. I'm giving you the scenario, right? Now, you are preparing a budget where your training budget per person, including his movement, his all those things, should not exceed. I'm giving you a new this thing where I'm telling you that it should not exceed 3,500 rupees. All expenses taken into consideration. Now, I want each one of you to imagine, where I'm giving you the scenario, to imagine the participants will travel 500 kilometers to reach the training venue. 10 participants are next to your factory, and the balance other participants are going to travel from outside. Okay. 10 participants always. So you're going to conduct a multiple of batches, let's say 5 batches. So please write down 5 batches that you're going to conduct. And 10 people would be from the venue which is closest to the factory. The balance participants will be outstation participants, okay, from different regions. The other cost remains the same, where the hall charges are the same, trainer charges is the same, participant salary is the same, participant handout cost is the same. The other aspects that need to be considered is, let's say you book a third AC for each one of them to travel in train, and the third AC charges is, let's say, around 950 rupees one way, right? Your proximity to the venue, housing, everything has to be considered. So you are, let's say, giving a triple occupancy or a double occupancy. For the double occupancy per day, it's going to be 2,500.
I think that if a trainer travels, this is going to be much more better than rather than the participants traveling.
Before you even reach a conclusion, put the cost together. You know why I'm making you do this? I'm making you do this because I'm trying to get into the micro details of your costing per line item, as I discussed before lunch, where you get to calculate every component of it to finally come across and also have a certain variance to be plugged in into the training cost so that the training can be successfully delivered and you're not under constant pressure for either venue, place, or anything else. इतना सन्नाटा क्यों है भाई? Why is there so much of death silence?
People are thinking on that. So one thought came to my mind. If it is a leadership skill development program, of course, it will require a face-to-face intervention, right?
Okay.
Okay.
You can't do it on the web.
Yeah, it's just a thought because few
Okay,
of the
guys, just
things.
switch on your video. Let's discuss this out. You know, where are you finding it constrained? This is where more than the training budget, some other things also need to be worked out.
I believe, yeah, cost will be going to increase only. The fact is, 20 more than the 60% population is traveling.
Yes, more than absolutely. That's absolutely.
Yeah. So we
Part of the population is traveling.
Yeah. So we tweak it in any way, it will become costlier affair. I believe in that sense, if we can find out the good facilitator in the that group itself, and by doing a TTT. Okay, because if you think about rather than asking participant to travel, let the trainer travel. So it is a cost of the trainer per day, right? So it is not a total training cost. So the days of trainer will be increased, and thereby the cost also increase.
Okay. Now I want all of you to keep the videos on. This is the primary thing that I've observed in most places where people come to negotiate on certain things which actually is not worthwhile. And most of the time, we don't look at the holistic picture. We rather look at only the finance aspect of it. Now, each one of you, if I can ask you, a leadership program that you conduct, is it a prestigious program?
Yes.
Would you all agree to that?
Yes, yes, it is.
Would it be top? Probably the leadership is involved and they want to see changes.
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, when you are a training head and you have a total budget of all these trainings that is going to happen, are you just going to focus on one leadership program or look at the overall budget of it?
Yes, of course, it is overall budget.
Okay. Now, there is a price at which KFT offers you a particular training. I said there is negotiation also important in a training budget. There is vendor management, vendor, discussions that need to happen. And if it's a continuous program where you have multiple interventions, as a training head or a training, person, what would you negotiate on and how would you basically marginalize the scale? Which are the areas that you'll focus on for you to draw a right budget?
So in that sense, I think only the fact is remain the fixed asset of KT facilities, for example, hall and all this. If we negotiate over there, okay, then again the major adding cost is, I believe, not a hall.
Okay.
It is only the 15,000. Okay, the major adding cost is per day cost of the employee. The way I think someone, I am not sorry, I forget. I think Smita madam talked on that or someone. Okay, and secondary, if you look at the other cost, for example, per se the traveling cost. Okay, so when we talk about the 3 AC tier, 1,000 is going to add immediately. 1,500 per day cost of that employee. It comes around 2,500 only. And again, 1,000 obviously will be the addition of any facility if we negotiate it with further, let's say 12,000 or somewhat, because it is not also the 30% margin will not be there. Any facility manager will not allow to do that kind of negotiation.
Okay.
So if you go up to 12,000 or somewhat, again, that comes above the expectation only.
Okay. So what do you as custodian of the budget do? You want to flow this program out. What to do?
I think that will be the good option if you have own facility over there, and or we can reduce some of the expenses. For example, these are the leaders. They can be okay with the learning mode material. I'm not saying the module should be digital, but material should be digital form. They can also go through that digital
We can
material.
keep more people on the hybrid mode.
Okay.
Some
so
of the things, sir, we will conduct through the virtual mode. Some of the things we will conduct in the physical mode.
Knowledge
Number
part,
one.
what
Number
Abhishek
two,
was
sir, number two, we can also negotiate from the business. If it is a prestigious program and we have to conduct, sometime we can also negotiate for the cost or the for the price. What they had set the budget, we can also negotiate with them.
मैं आप सबसे फिर से एक बात पूछता हूँ. Okay, I'm asking you once again this question to all of you. You are the custodian of the budget. The entire training budget is with you. The question is, this is a pilot program. This is a very important program. The success of the program. You remember the 4 elements. The last element measures on return on investment, right? Right. Now, return on investment is going to be calculated for all those people, either they are on hybrid mode or face-to-face or whichever mode, they have to give you the result. The objective is the result. It's a top-down approach. The question is, what do you focus on here in your budget? Is it that you're going to focus on the fixed cost or the variable cost? Are you plan to optimize? What is your objective? Remember, the first thing was the training need analysis. The last thing is the return on investment. 4 components when we study. Rest of all the cost elements. If the training program doesn't, succeed, it's a complete failure. It's a cost. It's not even a return. The question that I have for all of you is, what do you focus?
So as you bring that point, maybe TNI per se, maybe I would like to see first who are the experienced leader over there. I will maybe filter out, and I would like to create a cohort on the basis of the really those who are new to this role probably, and their skill and knowledge about the leadership. With that, I may think of doing face-to-face intervention completely. Secondly, I can look into which are the skill part and the knowledge part. So, for example, there is a role and responsibility thing, kind of thing, which can be, I believe, delivered in virtual mode, and that will be effective.
Okay.
Yes, if skill part required kind of a role play, engagement, scenario-based cases, all these things there. So then I think that probably will be the good option, ensuring the good effectivity of the training.
Okay.
At the same time, reducing the cost.
Okay. Anybody else?
So looking at the overheads that you've shared, hall
Mhm.
charges, trainer charges, from a perspective of hall charges, it's a continuous training program which is going on. So we're gonna negotiate on hall charges and
Mhm.
obviously on the training charges as well with the trainer, because this is not something which has been, restricted to a single session. So we
Okay.
can, negotiate with the trainer, and then probably as it's a leadership intervention for a sales program, right? So we
Yeah.
also need to work on the sales target, or what kind of sales we are getting from these employees,
Okay.
what kind of contribution they are giving to us.
Okay.
And then, you know, if the target is, if they have improved, or the gray areas are less, probably their contribution or the ROI of the training is better, what we have got in the end.
Okay. Well, fair enough. What else?
Probably some variable expenses we can work on, but I think hall charges, trainer charges, and then obviously their sales dashboard, how they're working on the sales part to get the ROI.
Okay. What else? What else?
Just to add on, but if anything is wrong, I request anyone to correct it. I'm okay for it. But I just feel like because it's a leadership intervention program, it's not necessary to be inside the four walls, So if it is an outbound training or something like that,
Okay.
filled with activities, then definitely the premises cost may go down.
We're just thinking about it. Okay,
Yeah,
wonderful.
I don't
like
know.
that. Anybody else?
Hi, sir. Good afternoon.
Very good afternoon.
Timothy here. So, first of all, I would like to understand the TNI of this program to go
Okay.
in between the cost. So, first, the fixed cost which we are taking is for the 30 participants, but we have 50 people can be acted in one hall.
Okay.
My question would be, is it required that we conduct it in one place where only 50 should be there or 30 should be there? Or we can go for an entire. As you said, the travel distance is 500 kilometers. If it is 500 kilometers, necessarily we need to provide accommodation because they might do overnight journey.
Right.
The question is, what if we find the location where people will travel around less than 100 kilometers?
Okay.
Like let's say 40 of the participants are traveling, 60 of the participants are localized.
Okay.
So we can cut down the traveling costs. We can also cut down the accommodation cost. Only refreshment is provided. So they will check into the room, get a refreshment, and get out. So the 2,500 rupees is not required for two people. Only 500 rupees will be required.
Okay.
So I will work on the allocation of the location,
Okay.
right location to be selected, so
Okay.
that the variable cost of the traveling as well as the accommodation can be controlled.
Okay.
And in case if the classroom training is not required,
Okay.
I might find a different solution where I can pull the entire people and book a resort because we have a budget of 3,500 and book a resort where some resorts will give you a budget of 2,500 to 3,000 per participants, where they'll provide you the refreshment room, they'll provide you the hall, they'll provide you also the food as well.
Okay.
I'll work on that.
Anybody else?
I think the training can be held in 5 different locations where the trainer can travel and the participant can come and return the same day. So that way, I think some cost can be managed in terms of the lodging expenses.
Okay. Kathy, you're the owner of the property and you have gone off. This is open to everybody, just not Kathy. Yeah.
Just for a fun sake, Kathy might be thinking whether people are going to do training or not.
Okay. Just to put things in perspective, you're doing a program that is for a sales function. Is that clear to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Any questions on that? Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, it is visible.
Right now, I'm going to basically calculate the various income heads. Now, within the organization, it is not always that the budget comes from the HN or HR department. The budget also comes from, as I told you, sales, marketing, so on and so forth, right? This is specifically a functional requirement where the function wants the sales managers to come together and deliver a program. Am I right? Why I put the scenario also is usually when such kind of a scenario comes in, the HR doesn't try to empty its pockets, but HR tries to do the program in such a manner that the cost can match and equip the participants to go back successfully. Now, I didn't purposely give you a scenario where you know that usually when sales meets happen at the beginning of the month, that is when they want to basically check their numbers, budgeted numbers, and what they're going to do for the new month, usually during the first 3 days or 4 days, they call in for something which is called a sales meet or a review meet, where all the participants travel across. Are we right? So region specific.
Absolutely.
Region specific travel happens. The travel person comes to a certain place where they take up a venue to do this. This is already budgeted in your sales and marketing cost. Now, if you are a trainer who's a corporate trainer or a corporate training head who's managing this, would you be basically trying to incur a cost separately for this? Or would you like to plug it a day after this program concludes, which is basically a review?
No.
What would you do?
There is only one thought comes in my mind. Use what you said, absolutely great option, because the travel cost is of course get managed over there and stay also not required. However, if the property which we are looking at is not at that region.
So let me tell you, that's the reason I gave you such a kind of, a scenario wherein you question yourself with regards to whether you go with your fixed plan or you go with a plan that enables the business. Remember, Bharat, I was trying to tell you right at the beginning when we did the budgeting exercise. Some of the programs are done for the functions, some of the program is done for the business, some of the programs are done by HR, which is budgeted only by HR. Now, this is a program that the HR is doing to facilitate for the business, where the sponsor and the donator is basically the business, right? Our focus is based on the other charges that we need to take into account, which is only the fixed venue charges or the rental that Kathy is going to give us. And besides that, we got to focus on the trainer, the refreshment and the material. But our focus went to all other aspects which is there, which is of not a matter of concern for us. Hence, when you are in this position where you're executing the program, you have to understand the scope or the limitation which is there with regards to your offer or what you can do. Our objective here is only to deliver the program. And let me tell you why. So what clarifications that you have to do with stakeholders, right? You remember we meet stakeholders every now and then to basically clarify things, or once we have clarified on the budget, we know that this is the program that's going to happen. So every time the team comes in for a review, it comes in for this, plus it does the training program and it goes back. In which the travel has been saved, everything else has been saved. The only aspect of it that needs to be computed is the direct cost, which is basically your fixed cost that comes in the form of the salary of the individual that has to be put into the cost. In certain cases, that is also partially sponsored, right? Now, if you look at this space, the income head and the income as well. So trainees' fees, the number of trainees into the fee that one participant pays for their training cost has to be calculated. That's what we were trying to achieve it, right? Now, whatever this person gives, sales or services or products or whatever aspect he gives, the department has to be taken into account. Which part is sponsoring has to be taken into account. The total budget for the training has to be taken into account. When I compute the total budget of the training, there are two additional fixed costs that I incur after the sales meet finishes. One is the venue cost. The second is probably the refreshment for the training. The third is the material cost. The fourth is the trainer cost. And besides that, what we incur is only in terms of whatever has to be done during that day, nothing else besides that. Some extra material that is required for the training. Now go back and compute and try and find out if you can fit into a budget of, let's say, 4,500. Right? Now, why I gave this scenario to all of you is in real-time cases, All these are already budgeted by a team which is going to have a fixed activity every month. If the HR or the training department gets an additional day other than this to do it, you don't have to incur a separate cost at all. Do you have to incur? No. In that case, if I come to the other aspect of it, which is basically the training and title of the program, let's say sales management program, the number of participants, expenses per the program, can't be budgeted and do it region based?
Yeah, absolutely. Even if I talk about my case, and even because Abhishek is my colleague, we are also doing in the same organization.
Right.
So we do such kind of program, and their actually complete cost is bear by stakeholder only,
the business.
team, business. The reason behind that, they have a scheduled meeting over there, and because this need came out of discussion with the TNI in TNI, so they agree on that. Yes, you can take away that same program, continue for the one more day, and surely we want you to be there for that facilitation of that program. So in that case, we even not incurred any kind of expenses other than our a few logistic or maybe the learning material or max our travel expense. Other than this, nothing is there.
Now, you know why I wanted to bring this up, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why I wanted to bring this up scenario is 90% of the time we try to minimize on the aspect of cost that is directly going to impact the training. Look our mind how it started working. We started working on things. Isko hybrid karte. Let's make it a partly hybrid model. Let's reduce the handout. Let's make it a digital handout. Let's look for a trainer with a good experience who's been selected for this program, studied, stakeholders have approved of it, and the program goes into a cyclic aspect of it. You're derailing the entire TNA and the ROI just based on the budget. Now, why I gave you this real-time example is also, please don't just put numbers into your Excel sheets just to satisfy yourself that this is the value that you need to generate, which is in terms of expenses for a program. Please don't do that. Please look in terms of what are the other win-win strategies that you can bring along with other multiple functions to complete a program. Got it? So real-time scenario. Now, if you basically look into this real-time scenario also, look at the marketing, professional staff expenses, training fees, consulting fees. What are the fees that is actually coming in? And what is the cost for this thing? That is the only thing that probably a training department needs to worry on. So if you look at the other things also, traveling, conveyance, courseware development, travel and conveyance is already paid off by the department. Facility renting, certification, refreshment, other contingency, courseware purchase has to be only looked into. Now, when you have a list of items which has been done, please also have parties mentioned in the remark as to who is the cost ownership of these and what is going to lie in your training budget. Don't put an all line item where you are actually responsible for all line items. You are only responsible for those line items. If it's a co-sponsored event, it's a co-sponsor. If it's a sponsored event, you are only liable for those. Do we get it, Bharat? All of you? Hence, when you do your budget, I also have a humble request to all the participants here. Don't prepare an annual budget. Please also prepare a training budget per program as to how much you are withdrawing from that lump that you have budgeted. So the number of training program, the cost of the number of training program cumulatively comes to the total cost of each of these categories. And then you get to know the split of how much are you spending on it.
Sir, you will be sharing this sheet to us?
Yeah, I will be giving you. This is also there in your textbook. There's an Excel sheet. I'll share you an Excel sheet also. Others, do you have any questions? Shuli, do you have any question? Ritesh, Mohan, does anybody here have a question?
No, sir.
Are we all in the same line? Can I request you all to just come online for a moment? I have a humble submission to all of you because I have seen this personally when I've been an external trainer as well as I've been an internal trainer. I've seen this in person. The first trigger flag that comes in is as soon as the cost comes in, we start trimming the quality of the program. Don't get into this mode of trimming the quality of the program. Get into a mode of trying to find out who is the cost owner of your program. And please pen it down. Cost ownership comes from the department that is asking you for the program. There is an owner who asks you for the program. There's a stakeholder who asks you for the program. And put this, let's say Six Sigma program, Lean, you have your operational efficiency program. All these programs, the ownership is from a certain department. You got to bring it in for you to catch this program. And don't be in a hurry to trim it down, because where you will be trimming will affect your program productivity. The question is again going to come back whether what you had actually promised and what you have actually done, the return on investment or engagement is not there. And practically, wouldn't you agree, Alankar, that we have seen a lot of scenario where the cost has been reduced and the quality has been compromised?
Agreed.
Hence, do not focus into those ideas. Your budget should clearly have cost ownership. Your budget should have co-ownership details. The budget should very clearly carry the faculty that is approved. So see, stakeholder doesn't only give you approval for budget. He gives you approval for the set of trainers also that you approved per region. Everything comes into being. You need to have a backup also for that. All those costs has to be considered. If A doesn't come, B has to be there. If B doesn't come, C has to be there. Or your dates have to be booked well in advance. So it is just not assumptive numbers or figures. It is much more beyond that. Take those into consideration before you start budgeting for a program, or put a cost computation for the program, or prepare a cost sheet for the program. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Now, if you have 100 programs happening at a venue, let's say it's your own venue, there is a cost still associated to run that venue. Electricity expenses, whatever expense, you basically compute that into fixed cost, variable cost, whatever, and you add that cost, because those costs has to be brought in. You have to pay out. If you take a venue, then you'll have to pay for it. Now, the question that I have for all of you is, what is fixed cost? Fixed costs are like rent, salaries, or possibly what else? What are the fixed elements costs that will come into training? The question is not the fixed cost. The question is fixed cost in training. What are the different fixed costs in training? Anybody? Explore what you had seen. From that, you try to tell me what are the fixed costs that will come in training. Training department में क्या fixed costs हो सकते हैं?
एक LMS remains a fixed cost.
Okay.
Which we need to pay annually, some kind of fee to
rental, that you mean to say, correct? Rental fee for the LMS.
True.
Okay. What else?
Secondly, the cost of trainer.
Cost of trainer. What about the salaries of the L&D department who's doing this training?
That's I mean,
department
and
Okay.
trainer comes under that only. So complete department cost.
Okay. What else?
Maybe the logistic required for the running the program.
You mean to say the venue?
Not venue, but the specific per se, the laptop, maybe projector, maybe the
AV and all those things.
The complete kits, yes.
Okay. Fine. Now tell me, what is the cost which is the variable cost here?
So traveling expenditures, maybe variables.
Okay.
Venue, as I said, it can be, the cost can change based on the month and the at that month, particularly if any kind of festival or that place is having some kind of overcrowded place. So cost rise accordingly. So place of the venue, maybe venue can increase, cost increase in venue.
When you prepare content or prepare material for a large number of people, does it become a variable cost or does it become a fixed cost?
So for my organization, we do create our own. So that comes under our head only. So there is no addition of cost.
नहीं, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ, अगर ज्यादा participants होंगे तो cost कम होगा, ज्यादा होगा?
Yeah, cost will increase. Cost will increase. So LMS, of course, advanced learning manual will increase the cost. Yes.
Okay. What else? Let's say, for instance, you have a department wherein there are 5 trainers, in-house trainers. There is a training head who is there, and there's a technical trainer. What cost would these items come under? For all of you, this is a question for all of you.
Comes again, you said functional trainer and technical trainer.
There are trainers in-house, plus there is also a training head, a technical trainer. So 5 in-house trainers, one trainer who's basically a technical trainer, and there is one training head. Which category of cost would you put this cost under?
Fixed cost. Fixed cost.
How many of you? It's fixed cost. Please.
Sir, except the technical trainer, that all 4 are the fixed cost.
I do believe even technical comes as a fixed cost if it is an employee of a organization. However, the resources, for example, some wanted to use augmented reality, some wanted to use virtual reality, that can increase the cost. The resource cost can increase. Otherwise, if the technical trainer also belongs to the organization, of course, the cost remains same.
Okay. Let's say, for instance, your training head or your CHRO has spent about 30% of his time in helping you develop this program and run it through the senior management of the company. How will you accommodate his cost into the training?
Oh, now it will increase. Yes, of course. So,
under which category would this come under?
It will be, of course, not fixed one. It will be the variable.
Alankar, which category would it come under?
So I think the way LMS cost they were telling, LMS cost, part of it should be fixed and some part should be variable. That is the way.
Which will be fixed, Alankar?
Fixed costs are those costs which do not vary. In technical trainer in our companies, we do not have as technical trainers as such on roles. We take people from functions. So in my condition, it is no fixed cost. But if you take a technical trainer and regardless of the number of work he's doing, amount of work he's doing, then it is a fixed cost.
Anybody who is from his role divulging and giving into any aspect of your SME support or otherwise support comes under staff cost. So let's say a CHRO contributing 35% or 40% of his time, or somebody who's very superior, who's belonging to a certain function contributing, and he's spending so much amount of his time. If I ask him where does he spend his time and how will the cost be computed, this has to come directly into the category which is basically called the staff cost. Is everybody clear about it?
So then in that case, all the in-house trainers will be categorized under staffing costs only?
No, in that case, if you have a technical department which is there and you have the spread of this, usually what happens is I bring in somebody at the woofing salary of, let's say, 2 lakhs, and I want to give him X number of trainings during the month. I split his job between the training need analysis, assessment, I do in terms of program delivery and all those things. Then I split the cost into various aspects. So let's say the trainer cost, which is there, is going to be a fixed cost in this case. So you know that one day if he takes a program, what kind of program? So let's say if I have 3 categories of people, somebody who's at a senior level, somebody who's at a mid level, somebody who's at a junior level, and you want an onboarding program to take place. For the onboarding program, you probably use a junior member or a mid member to be, and you have a fixed component cost marking for that. And if you don't have an in-house faculty and you want to bring an external faculty, it has to fit into the same budget. Right, Smita? Otherwise, you're going to have a variance in terms of your cost spread.
No, because when we said about the staffing cost, that the man hours, whatever the person is putting, he has his own product work also. So he has to contribute in his role also if he is not a trainer by profession, but some other role. In that case,
that's a staffing cost. But somebody who's directly related to training and is deliverables is training and assessment, you'll have a.
Then it will be a fixed cost.
Any questions? Now, let's say, for instance, if you may produce a course material or the number of participants increase in a training program, or the number of people who are there in an engagement program increases, per plate cost per participant might reduce. It will reduce because it's on a aspect of a variable cost. Now, if I put in any new thing in terms of an AI or an augmented reality or a virtual or a visual, this thing which is there, that's capital cost. And that capital cost, I'll try to take it out within 5 years or 3 years or 4 years or 2 years, whatever years that I'm trying to do that. Now, why this has to be computed is the day when you put the day of procuring such kind of a device, from there on, you should continuously show the utilization of it return from it to basically compute and show that you have added a material that is going to be of use to you.
Sir, a small doubt. When you said that it is AI or something which you are putting it under the other head.
Okay.
So in case that is simulation or something, trainings. So basically the type of training also will determine the various cost heads.
You will have to budget for that. Smita, let's say, for instance, you run a simulation for a certain environment.
I am sorry, everyone. If I'm wasting your time, I'm very new to this.
No. You're not at all wasting my. This is going to help each one of us here. Okay. And there is something which is called as a drive simulation that is brought on to drivers even before they hit the driving school, physically take control of the cars to see if they have a sense of idea of the road, how do they drive, do they have control on the steering. And the entire aspect of it was done into a device where there is a device which is there in virtual reality. They are shown this and they start driving this. Now, why this test was included? Just to see how do they basically recognize sign, do they understand, do they correlate, and so on and so forth. So that was built into the training process, and the cost of that was actually taken in from the participant who attended the training. So you'll have to consider such capital expenses and you'll have to derive out this from each of the participants where you budget and then break even and also show the result progress in terms of what you have done. Right?
Thank you, sir.
You're most welcome. So semi-variable cost, what would be the semi-variable cost? Let's say, for instance, your facility is running in a very remote location. What could be a semi-variable cost that could be there to this?
Some expenses which may be dynamic in the nature, which can change day by day or something like that.
Telephone charges to your unit, your internet charges to your unit. All these are semi-variable. Right. Now, why I want you to categorize under this categories? We talk about finance and costing getting involved in budgeting or regulating us with regards to spend. It's important that the training department understands the varied kinds of cost and the cost components. So when you budget for it technically, you budget it in such a manner that it is acceptable also to finance. So that when they tomorrow do any sort of analysis, they do an analysis, you are in line with the financial term that the organization is. So let's say, for instance, me and Alankar are the ones who are basically doing a training program. We are both facilitators. He does for senior leadership and I do for mid leadership. And somebody is going to analyze us in terms of where did they spend our time. So we have a calendar spread in which we say that we have taken so many sessions. And we have also a calendar spread which says that we have done training need assessments, we have done other aspects of it, mentoring, coaching, so on and so forth. When we do this, we have a logical spread of where and all our resources have been utilized. And if the finance department or the management comes back and says, why did you hire an external trainer? You still have a reason to put it. So are we clear? Is there any confusion?
Sir, what we're saying is correct, but what actually happens if we are hiring external trainers, say we are hiring external trainer and I'm paying them, say for a 2-member team, I'm paying them 50,000. Finance will always say, why are we paying 50,000? And I will have to say that you just see what your salaries are. So it is easier said than done.
Very good point that you brought out, Mr. Alankar. I'm very happy that you have added to the overall thought process of also this team that is engaged in. Alankar, can I take an example? Can we have a discussion with regards to, are you hiring coaches?
We are hiring coaches in a very limited manner. We usually hire trainers only.
Yeah. So high performance trainers?
Yes.
Basically trainers who are called as performance improvement trainers.
We can say so.
Who don't come at the same price probably another trainer comes in. Let's say any form of a trainer who comes in 50-20. Let's say per day engagement is 50,000 or 60,000.
Yes.
And 2 participants are met in, and somebody who's a part of an IDP program, individual development program, or a leadership development program.
Yes.
Now to justify this in a budget, it becomes very difficult because people don't get to understand, Rakesh came last time, he did it for 20K. Ab Alankar aaya, usne 50,000 mein kiya. He did it in 50,000. How? Why? Such a high fee. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
What do you do in this case?
Sir, I have my own shortcut for doing that.
Okay.
What I simply do, I say usually for a person who is 25 years in service, regular service with the company, so his cost to the company on the IT card is around 50 lakhs.
Absolutely.
And besides some of the costs that are not reflected in the income tax card, which are some of the reimbursements. Now that person is coming to the corporation for 250 days if he's not taking any leave. But around 50 leaves are given.
Okay.
You may or may not take them. So for 200 days, 50 lakhs is the salary.
Absolutely.
So that you can easily work out that it goes to at what point.
Okay.
And now if I say that that person who is coming to you, if he's training you for 1 day, and obviously he will be needing, he's a freelancer, he's doing some amount of administrative work also, and he's also, there is some additional time and in addition to what time he's giving to you.
Okay.
So then most of the time finance usually agrees that if you are getting a good quality trainer, this will be the cost, what will be incurring.
Okay.
So, and if they have some work orders with similar cost structure, then they have that part also. So this is my way of solving this issue.
Okay. In that case, you are getting onto a number and then working backwards, correct?
See, sir, we even though we are not in the training business, we are a company, but we also do our cost sheets when we are offering our training. When we are offering our trainings to foreign countries, then our cost sheets are even more expensive. 1 day training by a technical person who is not very particularly gifted, but he's just a technical trainer with us. The costing shoots up to 65,000-75,000 per day.
Okay.
So that reference is also there with us, and then we can simply say that if you are hiring good people, then you need to pay.
Okay. May I introduce you to a terminology called programming budget? What do you mean by a program budget? Let's say, for instance, Alankar has put across this scenario where he has got 2 senior people, each at 25 years of experience, going to be handled by one senior person who's going to come in and do this. And if you need to have somebody who's senior enough to do this with the kind of skill sets and competency, it's just not skill set, it's also competency, the ability to basically, have a significant changeover in terms of behavior and other aspects of it for a person to functionally improve at that age of experience or at that level of experience. There is something that has to be brought into, which is called a program budget. So what is a program budget? When you create a program, there are several elements that go into a program budget. So a specific program which is there, it doesn't just have one aspect. And that's the reason I wanted to tell you all this. And I'm happy that Alankar spoke it up. So for the benefit of all of you, since he had brought this up specifically, in a program budget, you start from anything and everything that you would do as an organization, reflecting on an external consultant who's going to be hired, including the time or the manuals that he's going to do from both the training need analysis, design, delivery, methodologies to be adopted, the assessment to be carried out, so on and so forth till the end. Every aspect of it is a service deliverable, and every service deliverable can be basically checked on the return of investment, as we discussed in the 4 components of training budget. If he covers all the 4 components of the training budget, Alankar, the person can have a program budget. And that program budget is nothing but the first cut proposal or the business proposal that every training department receives from an external faculty. Are we clear? So if you have the in-house capability, you do it yourself. If you do not have the in-house capability, ladies and gentlemen, you get such kind of a training proposal from a person who not only tells you what and all will he do, what are the various areas that he'll do, including training need analysis, learner need analysis, organizational analysis, operational analysis, job analysis, so on and so forth, and competency analysis. He'll get onto every aspect of it, and he'll give you a total cost breakdown of what he offers. Where whatever you are supposed to do, if you do not have an internal HR department also, if you have a costing department, it can still go through the entire aspect, do an apple to apple comparison with multiple vendors and agree upon one vendor to do this book. Now, the important aspect is, if you have a, succession planning, and in succession planning, anybody who does succession planning should be able to do everything as a trainer would be able to do in terms of co-facilitate, collaborate, mentor, coach, and deliver in a program. If he is not capable enough, that's when you hire an external resource to coach him, train him to get that work done. And this development cost is again considered as a cost, which is basically called a supplementary budget cost, which are activities that is not included in your training plan, but to prepare somebody for a training. Are we clear? So when you basically do this as a component of a training budget or so-called proposal that comes as a program budget, you have starting from training need analysis. So your training need assessment comes into place. You have training options that is being computed. You have the cost breakdown of that. And then you have a budget, which basically is with regards to external other factors, which could be including variable cost and the other fixed costs, including venue, travel, other aspects for you to budget that cost for an external facilitator to come and facilitate it. And hence, it is just not a card sheet, but it is a complete science of how the program has to be envisioned, programmed, and delivered with a return on engagement. Does anybody here have a question?
So in short, you mean to say we need to calculate the offering of available external trainers compared to the cost. That's it.
No, it is just not a comparison. So, Bharat, let me, for instance, tell you, you are calling me for a servant leadership program. Okay. You call me in, I can't just come and deliver a servant leadership program. If you have done an analysis, it's good enough, but I'll have to vet the analysis. So I get down into the detail, I have an interview, all those things. Now, all these things, is it going to take my man days?
Yes.
Is it scientifically going to take the man days? It is. For every preparation that goes through and the content preparation, you are charged on man hours.
Yes.
So when you prepare it in-house, you are still computing it because your time is involved and that cost element goes into it. Here you are involving this cost element separately to find out, and the breakup of that is given by the facilitator for you to know how much is the cost, which is the landing cost of a program.
Okay. Means if you can share any example on that will be great. Means help, because if I look into, let's say, behavioral profiling, okay, the example can be DISC. Okay. So when we do DISC behavioral profiling, now there are maybe multiple vendor available or multiple trainer available who can do that, certified DISC. Now, if someone is costing little higher, both of having the same kind of experience. Now, the assessment and everything will remain same. There is no means a different offering.
So what would differ in your case, in that case, if you're using two people?
That's what I need. I wanted to understand. If the cost is someone is maybe a little higher, so how we can look into that and how we can propose that.
Why do we do a competency DISC analysis? Why do we do a DISC competency, Bharat?
So the DISC competency is looking at the
what are the
different
criteria that you're looking into?
Understanding the different approach of the leaders to dealing with the people.
Okay. Now, let's say, for instance, you are a faculty who is being a theoretical person, a professor, and other is a person who's been from the business. And both are certified in the same. What will be the differentiating element that you look for a person who comes in and who has to interact with your leadership?
Yeah, of course, the one who is from business experience, he may have a live his own expertise on that, dealing with the different behavior, and accordingly maybe he will bring better value in that program.
So when you do a computational analysis, what is your objective out of this? Your objective out of this is your internal leaders who are there are able to understand themselves, understand what changes need to be made, and then do a self-analysis to see what can be done forward. Yes?
Of course, of course.
And the person who comes in has to be basically a person who reflects this upon them, who's either a coach or a mentor, and whom they can correlate. Hence, you are looking at an objective where you're looking at what would be the action that will happen from the so-called consultant that you'll involve. Because the interpretation is going to be the one and the same, but the change that has to happen is from the aspect of the change that has to happen from the individual and how the individual connects with the thing. I'm sure for such a scenario. Yeah, please go ahead, Alankar.
So I think when we are making a program for higher leadership, though we say that is a learning process, but some amount of unlearning is also involved.
Absolutely.
And learning is an easier thing. Learning can be, I think we can even have some people who are not very expensive, but when it involves unlearning, obviously we need people who the senior leadership can trust also. So they are the branding also matters. So I will not like to divulge the figures, but if you are even in IIMs, what I would like to talk to Bharat is, I would like to say that within IIMs, there is a differential of 4.
Absolutely.
From the lowly upcoming IIMs to the highest IIM Ahmedabad, the differential is 4. So justification purely on the basis of what training that they are going to give is sometimes not logical also. It sometimes there is an amount of branding involved. You have to take it or leave it is also involved.
And there's a lot of review involved. There are a lot of people who are stakeholders at their level who basically suggest these things out.
Yes.
Stakeholders are also involved. A lot of aspects of, acceptance happen in different
Thanks for
ways.
your insight, Alankar. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alankar. So one thing that I want to leave you with, where I'll share you the entire handouts right away, before you get into any training budgeting. Look at the bigger picture before you start even budgeting. Right? In-house or external, whether you have the expertise within or you're looking for expertise from outside, whether you are a completely limited space or a completely open space, it all depends upon the organization culture, and the way you look at things and the people involved in it. But when it comes to budgeting, it's just not a line item. It involves a lot of other things. All the 4 elements that we discussed right in the afternoon and in the morning, which is there. All those 4 elements come together for your training budget to work as a win-win. Now, as promised, I will send you this handout right away. And I will also send you the 2 sets of books that you should ideally read through, right? Which talks in detail about the budget. I couldn't get the link of the book, but I will give you the name of the book, please. There is a book which is called the Training Design Manual. Please note this down, Training Design Manual. I do not know how many of you had previously taken this. This is from a gentleman called Tony Bray, Tony-Bray, which is from Kogan Publication. Kogan page. Kogan
Sir,
page.
can you put it in the chat box?
Sir, can you please put it in the chat box so we can write it in the proper way?
I'll just.
Sir, I think you've mentioned this earlier as well in the previous class.
Because, I saw that a lot of people came back asking for this.
So it is there in the group. They can refer to the WhatsApp group. It was mentioned there. There was some screenshot attached with the group as well. Some people have, shared some screenshot of this book as well.
Yeah. So I suggest you get down the new edition of it because it covers a lot of things into it.
You're putting it in the chat box, the name?
I am putting it into the chat box and I'm sending it across. Please see if you have got it.
Got it, got it.
Got it? And the second one, I'll give you the book's name. I'm putting down the name into the chat box.
₹9,000 this book. Second one.
Pardon me?
The second
Yeah.
book is 9,000 rupees.
When I got it, it was 18,700.
Oh.
So this is a real-time book where a lot of people have contributed. You can learn a whole lot of things from this. I would, if you have a scope of going to a library, and those of you who are there in Calcutta, the first edition of this book is there in the Calcutta library. If you refer to that, that will be really good. So it's an amazing book to read through. In the meantime, I'm also converting the PPT and sending it across to you.
So these books are not only for managing the training process, but overall as a training. Right?
It will tell you the whole of the 1.5 years or 2 years that you're spending here as well. It will cover the entire thing.
Oh.
I thought rather than referring to a couple of books, it will be better you refer to one or two which will add value to it.
Kindle edition is 8,800. Paperback is 9,560.
Yes. It's a book that has to be gotten. It's a good one. You can keep it, nothing like it. I'm also sending you across the presentation for the program that we have completed since morning. Once you have received it, I kindly request all of you to download it. Have all of you got it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, there would be another trainer who would join you next week. This is going to be my last engagement with your batch. I wish you all a wonderful learning as well as wonderful delivery in the areas that you plan to specialize in. I've given and shared my number in the morning. Those of you who are interested, please, you can kindly reach out to me. It's been an absolute pleasure actually knowing you all and understanding your viewpoint as well as when it comes to training. It's been my absolute pleasure also to facilitate all of you. It's a learning process for me as well.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this
Thank you
insights.
so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you
you for
very
your time.
Most
Probably
welcome.
we're gonna speak again and discuss a lot of things with
Thanks a
you.
lot, sir. Thank you very
Definitely, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Take care. All the very best. Right. All the best for the exams as well. So, thank you.